Thank you, everybody, for coming out to play Boston. I want to give a round of applause for my man Marc Lewis and Jeremy Swayman. Appreciate you all. This is episode 2 of season 2 of the Shut Up Marc podcast. And Marc's come a long way. I'm proud of the young man.
Thank you, man.
I think Jeremy's done okay himself. As long as he gets a job, we'll be all right. Good to go.
I like that.
I just want to say really quick, one, thank you to everybody who came out first and foremost. 2, I want to thank Dave's Hot Chicken, who continues to make all of this possible. For anybody who watches the true crime videos, locations opening up every 6 weeks across New England, fastest growing restaurant franchise in the entire country. That's a fact. Get out and try a location near you ASAP. You will not regret it. Most recently in Medford, Massachusetts. Soon to be, where's Al? Burlington, Vermont.
Yep.
And everywhere else across Central Mass and Rhode Island, soon to be as well. And yet play Boston by, like, obviously, everybody here at Big Night Live that made this possible last minute to adjust and everything like that. All the Big Night Live guys, everybody here at Play, this wouldn't be happening without them. It's really been a bunch of people who just believe in the vision, that come aboard to help in whatever way they can. They don't ask for much in return. Really special group of people to be around. And I don't think our guest needs any more further introduction here. We got the franchise sitting right here to our right, man. Jeremy Swayman,
Sway Dog.
Boston Bruins. He's right here. Please give him a round of applause and a warm welcome for coming out here.
Love you guys.
Absolutely.
The Swayzer Blade.
I keep trying to make the Swayzer Blade a thing. I think it's a great nickname. As much as I like, do you not like the Swayzer Blade?
Give me more of a context.
Yeah.
Where's the blade coming from?
It just sounds like razor blade.
It just sounds like razor blade, so I just keep saying Swayzer Blade. I keep trying to get it to stick.
Jeremy wants context.
Yeah,
There's literally no
sharp.
fucking context to this thing at all.
No, exactly. Yeah, no. Hey, listen, I'll be the guy that carries that torch. It's fine. It'll be me, my personal thing, whatever.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. That's actually really good.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
So listen, man, you're in season what now here in Boston? 4?
Going in, like 4.5, 5.
4.5, 5.
Yeah, we had that COVID year.
Yeah, the COVID year.
Right.
Count it. Yeah.
Now you're here by way of the great state of Alaska, right? So now, can you tell everybody, just to start off, what is it like in Alaska? Like, what is?
Do you feed on blubber and salmon all day? Is what I want to know.
Like, how does it tell us about Alaska? Like, how do you what's it like growing up there? What's the most popular sport? Like, how is it? What are people doing on the whatever vacation? How does it all work?
Does it work?
Yeah, you can keep talking forever on it. It's one of the most unique places in the world, and I think when people get the reactions they do when I tell them I'm from Alaska, it's because it is that epic and just so untouched, so unique in its own way. You can be at your house and then in the middle of nowhere in 10 minutes from that front door. It
really is like it almost sometimes doesn't even feel like a real place. It's like this what did they call it, the last frontier, right? Like it's like still a place that's so untouched and so like
it's so unique. If you see,
absolutely,
if you watch Jeremy's Instagram, I know I've seen you post stuff when you've been out there. I think it was last summer, salmon fishing. I mean, the amount of things that you can do in Alaska that you can't do here in Boston are incredible.
Oh yeah.
It's different. It's the East Coast and Boston has its own beauty, and it's so different. You have to find the beauty in everywhere you're at, and Alaska's beauty is the mountains, is the untouched waters, is the trees, is obviously the wildlife, and it's just different. You have to find that. I'm not going to come to Boston and expect it to be the same, and I came here with an open mind of knowing that it's going to be different, with a really excited mindset about it, because if you stay in Alaska, you're really closed into what the world has to offer. Of course, the East Coast too. So I'm just finding the beauty in everywhere I'm at, and obviously Alaska, having that understanding of what it offers has given me a whole new perspective of being in the city now and knowing the beauty of where I grew up and finding perspective on life.
Do you miss it? You didn't go back this summer, and I think last summer you did, right? Was it maybe last summer? 2 summers ago you went back.
2 summers ago, yeah. I do miss it.
Off season?
I miss it. I miss it a lot, and it's okay to miss it.
Yeah.
Because,
right on.
Again, just like I said, it's never going to leave me. Just because I left Alaska doesn't mean Alaska leaves me, and that's the best part about it. The community up there is still so tight, and so supportive of everyone that
Yeah.
goes out and in their prospective sports and their jobs.
Yep.
Scott Gomez made a great point about that on his Chicklets episode. He was like
Yeah.
the Alaska brotherhood of guys.
Totally.
Like, especially guys that, like, played and went to the league and stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like everybody, every single Alaskan guy that's what does a cup of coffee, 10-year career,
Only 6
whatever it
of
is.
them.
Yeah, actually, you know what's funny? I'm going to quiz you a little bit really quick.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to quiz you a little bit real quick. I have it right here
Be
of
some
every
mad
guy.
Alaskans after this, yeah.
It's 14 guys, I want to say. Actually, this is missing a couple of dudes I know for a fact. Can you name the guys from Alaska? There's 14 here. There's one. Oh, actually, no, he's here. 14.
You want me to name every one of them?
Can you? Like, I'm asking, can you?
That's
Like,
just
can
that's
you?
a dick move, man.
It's really
No,
not.
it's
It's
all right.
14 guys, man.
I'm just going to leave out some really important guys. They're going to be pissed at me, but I can go. Nate Thompson,
Yup.
Gomez,
Yup.
Joey Crabb,
Yup.
Tim Wallace,
Yup.
Dubinsky,
Yup.
Corey
Give me a
Wright. Did he touch the NHL?
I don't believe so. He's not a no.
Give him a hint.
Shasby?
Is he?
No.
No.
Justin.
Ty Conklin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Ty.
Ju-
yeah, absolutely.
Justin
He wasn't-
Johnson, you
Yup,
nailed that
Justin
one.
Johnson, Jason Reisner.
I don't know him, no.
Matt Carl. Did you
Matt
say
Carl?
Matt Carl?
I know Matt Carl, yeah.
Yeah,
Matt Carl.
Matt Carl.
And then the other goalie for I just played against him.
LA.
Yeah, LA. Why am I forgetting? Copley.
Phoenix
Copley.
Copley. Yup. Yeah, not bad.
Named
man.
him?
That's pretty
yeah,
good. That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
shit,
told you
dude,
there's not
bad.
many of them. You know,
That's what I was gonna say. I'm
It's a
like,
total fraternity, and man, I got to tell you, it's a pretty surreal feeling having the contact I have with those guys that have paved the way for young Alaskans, and now being the only Alaskan in the league right now.
Wow.
is pretty
Yeah.
crazy to think about, and
it really is. Why it is like really
The
almost
only one.
bizarre to
It's a
think
small
about.
club.
You're like,
besides
it's
Copley, right? So
besides
it's
Copley,
two
yeah.
goalies, huh? Producing goalies up there.
I was going to say it's a goalie factory by that scale.
Yeah.
14 guys, 2 of them are pro goalies in the show.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Totally.
What else was I going to say? So when you first got here, how did you assimilate into the city? What were guys telling you, like places you needed to hit, to try?
Good question.
Or how did you sort of assimilate into the night and day, in my opinion, difference, obviously, with Boston, Massachusetts to Alaska?
I was lucky. I went to UMaine. So
Yeah.
I was on the East Coast. I was in New England.
Yeah.
And I think without that experience, I truly wouldn't understand the outreach that Boston sports has on the entire New England, let
Yeah.
alone the entire U.S., let alone the entire world. So it was really special being up in Orono, had been drafted already, and I'm seeing Bruins jerseys at UMaine games.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like,
That is really cool.
there's
Yeah,
no
it's
other
Bruins
jerseys.
territory.
We had plenty of other draft picks on our team. There's only Bruins jerseys, and a lot of them. And that for me was really explained a lot on what kind of
What you were walking
passion,
into. Yeah.
what kind of passion and culture that Boston has, Boston sports has. So when I did finally sign and I was on my way to Boston, I knew pretty well that it was going to be a really easy fit transition for me. And just because of the open arms, and it started in Maine. It was coming from Alaska, not knowing, obviously living in college campus, you don't know what to expect. It's nerve-wracking, it's exciting, but I really
Maine
didn't know what to
feels a
expect.
little
Yeah.
closer,
Oh, big time.
right? A little closer to Anchorage.
Oh,
than-
I was
than
going to
Boston
say,
does.
were you looking at it like, oh, this is kind of the closest thing to an East Coast version of Alaska that
gotta
I'm
be.
probably going to get?
That's what sold it for me.
And this is like perfect for me.
It was.
Yeah.
I
So you found the
couldn't-
perfect middle bridge between coming out of high school or junior and then going to college, playing your college years, and then you end up in like the big time city, which is that.
But you also had a coach that took to you, Red Gendron, right?
Oh.
You guys just connected.
More than connected.
You gotta
He's,
tell us about him.
Yeah, he's a father figure to me, major role model, mentor. Just a quick story of who he is. One of the first conversations I had with him was on the phone, and the first thing he said was, Jeremy, not only am I going to make you a better hockey player, but I'm going to make you a better man. And as a young kid, you hear that, and I've had a lot of different stuff in the past with broken promises, making sure, you're going to come to this team, you're going to be a head goalie, yada, yada, a lot of promises. And he didn't promise me a starting job. He said, I'm going to give you a chance to start. I'm not promising you a thing. And that for me was real, truthful, and I knew that was going to be a human being that I would want to follow and learn from.
I feel like every coach should just say that. And you're way better off with a guy like building any type of bridge of trust with a player. It's like, why overpromise the guy? Just because then it looks like you just want to get him for whatever, just want to get him to get there.
It speaks to your character, right?
Yeah, and it's like instead of that, just be like, listen, I'm going to give you every shot, and then it's up to you.
Yeah.
And you kind of control your own destiny at that point, you know?
Well, I think it depends on the kid and what they've grown up around, what they've experienced. Some kids haven't had a lot of adversity at a young age, and other kids, you know, they want the glam, they want all the bells and whistles, which is incredible to have. And that's why college hockey is so competitive to get these recruits, because some of these teams, you can't compete with a BC, you can't compete with a BU, you can't compete with a North Dakota with facilities. It depends on the kid on what they want to do, what they want to build, what they want to establish themselves away from the rink. And that for me was everything, how am I going to grow away from the rink just as much as I'm going to grow in the rink to get to the next level.
And it's funny you say that about college hockey, because Brock Faber just dropped a quote, and he was like, for anybody that tried to tell me I've never played in a big game, it's like go to the North Dakota rink when like Minnesota's playing them. Go to
Unbelievable
Go to
environment.
Orono when UNH is playing them.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
Go and like, dude, like those are big, physical, loud,
Absolutely.
hostile environment games. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Jeremy,
it's not-
tell them about your heart rate when they monitored your heart rate, right, during a UMaine game. Good story here.
We'd have wearable technology at Maine, and it was kind of the cutting edge years of starting to do that, you know, understanding players' fatigues, understanding how to give them rest, because it's back-to-back games in college, and you only play 2 games a week. And so we were wearing these heart rates. I'd never wear a heart rate in my life. And it's my first game. We're at Orono, we're playing UConn, and I set the all-time Maine record of fastest heart rate in the national anthem. I didn't even play in a second.
How do you even track that record? Like that's if you never saved a puck at UMaine ever in your life, you still are in the record book somehow, which is hilarious.
His heart rate was a little high.
Yeah,
that's the point.
That's hilarious.
But listen, I think that speaks to your mental capacity for the game, which is really, really important, especially in the goaltender position, because you were able to take those nerves and turn them into performance, obviously.
That game, no, but
No.
other games you learn. And it's funny because I'm sitting in playoffs this year, and you remember the experiences you've had before you got there. And you remember that time when you're in that kid, when you're seeing your first sold-out arena, and your heart rate's going through the roof, and you're like, all I need to do is get a shutout, because I need to get a shutout in order to play the next game, in order to get to the next level. And then I'm thinking about that in playoffs, and it's a complete different mindset.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Complete different mindset.
Are you superstitious in any way?
No. Depends.
Yeah. Usually some goalies really are like super superstitious, like pitchers in baseball. You know what I mean? Like
hockey players in general, probably.
Hockey players in general,
that.
sure, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any pregame rituals or anything you have to do to like kind of get yourself ready, or how that goes for you.
I have routines, and I'm religious about my routines. I know that if I'm not playing as good as I want to, I stick to my routine. I don't let it fault. I just want to make sure I'm doing what I need to do to prepare myself in order to perform. And when I rely on my routines, I know that even if I'm not feeling it mentally, physically, I still am doing the steps I need to do in order to get to that top.
That feels like it's less superstition and just a smart thing to do, especially when those routines must bring you like a sense of comfort. You know this is what you're going to do throughout the day.
Yeah.
And no matter what you have to face you that evening, you still go through those routines.
Well, I think a good example for superstition is listening to the same song at the same time every single game. Then your headphones die.
Right.
That's going to break your superstition.
Right.
A routine, I still do my routine. I can do it at different times. I can do my high knees, first. I can do my juggling second, and that's just my routine. I still do what I need to do. It doesn't need to be in the perfect order.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, being a part of the team for a good handful of years now, right? Several years into your career, how big was this playoffs for you guys to sort of break through a little bit and win that big, tough first-round series?
Especially after pressure from last season with everything that happened 2 years ago. How big was that? I mean, you're down the other end. You must have just been like, oh my God. Like, obviously you stood on your head the entire game. But especially you talking Game 7 Toronto?
Yeah.
Oof.
Especially to see Pasta do it. And it's like, who needed it to be that guy? You know what I'm saying? One of our superstars. Like, it's got to be that guy. You know what I mean?
100%.
That must have been the biggest, like, breath of fresh air you could possibly take at that point.
It was a moment I won't forget for a long time. However, we didn't get the job done. And the deeper you go in playoffs, of what I've learned now is it only gets more motivating. And the experience I got for those month and a half, it almost accumulated to all the years I've had in the NHL regular season.
Yeah.
and just knowing what you have to do to prepare your body for playoffs, knowing what you have to do to prepare your mind for playoffs, game in and game out for 2 weeks straight. Traveling, nutrition, big games, meaningful games. Every save is a game-changing save. Every shot is a game-changing shot.
And I'm gonna make a very embarrassing statement here. We just lost in the championship of my men's baseball league playoffs.
I read
right?
about that.
Yeah, we got
No,
swept. I don't want to hear it, right? So we had an absolute war in the semifinals for 5 straight games. I'm talking like nobody shutting up the entire time, energy through the roof. And then I get to this next round, and we're all like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, if this is men's league, what the hell is it like at the professional level for these guys to do this night in and night out, especially in a sport like hockey and
In a town like Boston.
in a town and the emotions through the roof and everything's physical and I'm like, dude, this is the craziest thing. I'm just trying to like imagine it. I'm like, I can't put myself in that position. I just can't. It's crazy.
What about, Game 7, Toronto, goes to overtime, you guys go to the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like for you? What are you doing? Where's your head?
What was funny is that I was in that same position the year before, overtime, Game 7.
I didn't want to bring that up.
And it's okay to bring it up because you know what? We learned from it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what was special is the difference in the locker room and the being vocal, guys, leaders stepping up and just not having a doubt in the world and knowing that we're going to go out there and get it. Guys reiterating, how lucky are we? Game 7 at home, overtime. It's what you dream of. Yeah. It's what I dreamed of when I was playing street hockey, knee hockey in the hallways at tournaments. Yeah. And every single game is Game 7. And to actually do it, what a feeling that is.
Yeah.
That building was electric. I was there. And you could feel the energy.
Oh, it was amazing.
And when you see Lindholm come down and bank that shot right off the backboards and Pasta comes through, when you saw the puck go in, I mean, come on.
No, it was a shock. It was amazing. And exactly what you said, it's big time guys making big time plays at the right time, and you never have a doubt. And that's what we had in that locker room, was just making sure we never had a doubt in any one of us. And time after time,
you could tell watching you guys in that game too. It didn't look like you guys were panicking at all.
Look, relax.
I was like, they feel like I remember watching that game and be like, it feels like they're in control of this.
Totally.
Like
agree.
it doesn't feel like this moment's bigger than them right now. You know what I mean? Like you guys had a very controlled. Because I remember the first goal that went in. I'm like, if that's the one they're gonna get on Sway, like fine, man, whatever. They throw up some Nylander throws up a Hail Mary from the blue line and finds Sway in. Whatever, cool, all right. And then at that point, and while watching you guys respond, I was like,
it's a good
that's
feeling.
the next step. I'm like, that's the next step for sure. You know what I'm saying?
That was a response in under a minute, or was it like a minute, right?
Minute and a half, something like that.
somewhere around there. Yeah, it was
quick.
great.
No, it was super quick. The next part of this is obviously, right, you're in a big point in your career with a big contract negotiation going on right now. And the thing I want you to describe, because this is an experience very unique to you. No one else really knows what this is like, okay?
Just like the contract
Just
negotiation
like the contract
process.
negotiation process as a professional athlete, what that's like at the age you're at, your first, presumably, longer contract, right? What is that like from an athlete's perspective in all of this?
I love that question. I think if you were to ask me that same question a year ago, I would answer it truthfully, and I would say it's scary. It's a lot of resentment towards people that want you to succeed, and when you're not getting compensated for your endless efforts and doing what you do best, it's a nerve-wracking feeling because it's your family you're fighting for. And the answer I'm going to give you this year is that I've educated myself and that I understand the business side of it all. And it's given me a complete new mindset of understanding the business and how to react to it. I understand the cap is going up and where it will be in years. I understand my comparables and how I can't ruin the goalie market for other guys that are going to be in my shoes down the line.
It's nothing I didn't even think of that today. That's another thing that just never crossed my mind.
I went to the School of Business for the University of Maine, so I love the business side of it all.
Right.
And I studied it, and I love it. I'm doing classes still in Stanford, part of the NHLPA program on business.
Are you?
Because
wow.
I know that these experiences I'm doing now are going to help me post-career when I want to be a businessman, when I want to talk about serious stuff, away
We'll
from
give you a
hockey.
job at sideline.
I'm in.
No worries at all.
100%.
That's special. So,
little Pat McAfee special. Whenever you're ready to come on down, give you your own show, the Sway Dog Pod, and you'll be set, bro. You'll be good. You'll be chilling. And like I had said before, you get every tweet, Instagram post, caller on Sports Talk Radio, chirp, talking head. That's like, oh, there's millions of dollars on the this, that, and the other thing. But again, even no one knows what this is like. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's like except the guy dealing with it, your family, and your eight. That's it, and the team. That's really it. So there's 4 parties that know here. So I can't imagine what that's like, or how that's been for you. As far as it's almost got to be to a point where you're like, it was maybe a little funner to be naive before and just worry about, oh, I'm just here just playing. I'm in the show. This is great. I'm on a great team in a big market. This is awesome. And now it's like the big dog responsibilities come, and now the tough conversation comes, and now the next step of this whole thing, and you're like,
It comes with success.
Yeah,
and that's
and you're
really
like,
what brings it.
yeah, and you're like, I'm getting to that next level in my career. Everything's ascending exactly the way it's supposed to, probably even more so. And it's got to be that tough, 90% of this is a blast, is a dream. This 10% is tough.
well,
It's hard. You know what I'm saying? It must be hard.
Mark, I think 10-year-old Jeremy Swayman didn't think in a million years that he would be in this position he's in the city he's in, and the amount of gratitude that I have to be in this situation completely covers up the negative side of everything.
That's a very valid
I couldn't
point.
be happier to
I
be
wish
in this
more
whole
athletes thought
situation.
that way, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
truly is.
It's a high-class problem.
It is.
It's a high-class
It
problem
is.
right now. You know what I
And
mean?
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm stopping pucks for the Boston Bruins. Say that in a sentence 10 times.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
And the way that I've been able to really be a part of this city and be in the community, try to get to every event possible, it's because the love that this city brings for their athletes, and honestly just everyone else, is unmatched to anything I believe in the league. And I truly feel that I'm a perfect fit here because it's always what I've desired, is to have some sort of sense of community based on where I'm from in Alaska.
Yeah.
I love walking into Costco and seeing 10 of my old teammates. Or, my dad, he was a physician for 35 years. And the impact that he had on Alaska, he was like the mayor. And so
Good man, Ken Swayman.
Ken Swayman.
Great-
He was
guy.
Ken Swayman, MD?
He's one of a kind.
Wow.
He's
Ken
one of a
Swayman,
kind.
MD. I did not know
And
that.
so you want to talk about a businessman, is he went to school for 14 years and then created his own private practice, and he's running a business while being a full-time doctor. The brain capacity that takes, I'm getting hit with pucks, and then I could be a businessman on the side. That's like, I'm only doing one job on the side. It's pretty amazing. So the quality of human I got to live up to is tenfold. But you know what? He reaches high, but I'm going to need a ladder to reach higher than him, because that's what he raised, and I love that. And
He
so,
loves it. He loves it too. I spent
pretty
a lot
fun
of
to
time
be a part
talking to
of.
Ken Swayman. The guy's a little proud of Jeremy.
45-minute conversation minimum.
Just you couldn't find a better human being, but to see the relationship that you guys have is really nice. And so there's no doubt this guy's such a good human being.
I appreciate that,
And
man.
I want to bring up, you see this in his post-game press conferences, right? That attitude of, I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful to be stopping pucks for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
It comes out in a lot of your press conferences, and you hear people on sports radio, they talk about that as well.
That's cool.
It's tough to find in a professional athlete, especially somebody who's a little jaded and who's been at it a couple of years. Keep that quality.
Thanks, Joel. I definitely will. But you know what? It wouldn't be possible without the mentors I've had in the Bruins organization. Like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Chara, I didn't get to play with him, but I've seen it. Those are the guys that I want to be following up. Those are the tenured guys that are Boston Bruins for life. I want to be that. And it's my job to be that, because we have a young core here. I know the value of our young core, and I'm a part of that. And it's really special to think that, and it's my job to make sure I'm keeping that up and being a leader for the next group to come and do
And
it.
you've always heard about the Bees, that they have one of the best. You guys have one of the best rooms in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure amongst you players, you know, guys you played with in college, it's got to get around at some point. Like, what's it like here? What's it like there? How's this guy with the C? How's that guy?
How's that?
Yeah. You know, it's all everybody. I feel like all you guys know. Like, players obviously talk. They have relationships. Guys you play junior, college, whatever else, right? Anywhere else before. So guys know how certain locker rooms get down and such, right? And whatever. And I think it's got to be great for any young player coming in here to be like, you know, you walked in at Bergie. I mean, dude, come on. Like, could you really ask for anything better?
Couldn't get a better
Probably
guy.
not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as far as a guy that's well respected in the league,
Totally.
dude. Like, how does it get any better than that? You know what I mean? So how do the Bruins do, like the locker, like, you know, veteran guys in the room do with like helping the new guys assimilate? Like, how hands-on are they, and how does that usually work for all
Even
the new
outside
guys?
of the room, right?
Right.
Just assimilating to the city.
They lead by example, and that's all they need to do. I love saying this thing. I got a Marshy mentality, and he doesn't have to tell you to work hard. He works hard, and you have to keep up with him. And if you don't keep up with him, he'll get vocal. And I love that because guys are embarrassed if they're not keeping up with him.
You don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy. And to have that kind of a leader every day, day in and day out, even in summer skates, when he's not there, it's a slower skate.
Wow.
And as a goalie, I want to be the one pushing pace, but it's harder to be a goalie and making sure guys are zipping passes on the tape and stuff. And the way I can do that is compete my ass off and make sure there's not scoring goals, and that's going to keep elevating. So at every position, it's really important to have some sort of leader or leadership quality. And the biggest thing is that practicing what you preach.
The biggest telltale for me with Marshy, as far from a leadership perspective, was this year in the playoffs when he took the hit from Bennett, and he was like, dude, I don't care. Doesn't bother me. It's war out here. Like, I'm good with it. When you hit a guy out in the playoffs, I'm sorry, nobody gives a shit if they get back. Like, they really don't.
It was what happens on the ice stays on the ice
fine.
kind
Yeah,
of
he
a
like
mentality.
when I saw like he wasn't complaining about it, like, yeah, I think it's Bush League or Cloud. He just was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. Cool. On to the next game. I don't give a shit. Let's just keep going. I don't care. I was like, that's a dude that clearly doesn't sit around and wait for like people to come in and police the situation
That's by
or
example.
be like, don't worry, man. Like, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be all set. Like, not looking to do any of that. And I was like, love that. That's my like Marshy captain moment so far right
good.
there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I was like, this guy gets it.
Totally.
Because you
There's
want the whole team to take on that attitude.
dozens of stories like that.
Yeah, oh, I can only
unbelievable.
imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. What was I going to say?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jeremy, we haven't discussed this at all, but Linus Ullmark leaves the team. You guys, at least optics are, you got a good relationship.
Very.
But I don't know, right? I mean, it looks like you guys get
Totally.
along well, right? The goalie hug.
Yeah.
Was it tough to have sort of 1A and 1B goalie starting positions instead of here's my starter and then here's the backup? What's that dynamic like?
It's a lot different in pro. The best way I explain it, though, is that we both wanted what's best for the team.
Okay.
And to have two goalies that have that mindset is very rare. We got goalies in the crowd tonight. It's very rare, especially in the younger levels. But at pro, it's a livelihood. And we both understood that. But at the same time, we're battling for the logo on the crest of the jersey.
Yep.
And when that clicked for both of us and to truly have genuine happiness for each other's success, the sky's the limit for a goalie tandem. And to have success with it and to see the reaction of the hockey world and all the support.
It was a great
We didn't
reaction.
expect that.
Yeah.
We didn't expect that at all. It wasn't for everyone else, to be honest. It was for him and I. And that was the most genuine thing about it all. And
So you guys were close. Like you had.
yes.
You never know, right? I mean,
I get it,
I would. I mean, you know, you and I talk. It's very rare when we speak. We've never had that conversation, and I would say to people, I think knowing Swayman, it's genuine, but you never know. So it's nice to know that you guys did have a nice relationship.
Well, it's part of being a pro, too, right?
Totally.
At the end of the day, it's part of being a pro. I mean, you're there to do your job when they ask you to do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't really sit there and stomp your feet, which obviously you don't. But I'm just saying, like, even if you don't love a guy, anybody that works a 9-to-5 job
right.
anywhere, nobody loves everybody they work with. I mean, sports are different, obviously.
I barely like Mark.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's, and even, like I said, even if you, for whatever reason, not that you did or didn't, but like I'm just saying, clearly you guys are buddies, and that's your job to support that guy
Totally.
publicly, and when you guys go
But it doesn't always happen. So, but that's why I think people took to the tandem. So now that he's gone, when you knew he was departing, what was that like for you? I don't need to know conversations between the two of you, but was it an awkward, weird moment for you?
It was sad. It was the biggest thing was just the loss of a brother, and the loss of, I call her, a mother, but she's basically a sister figure with Moa, and of course my niece and nephew.
Yeah, right.
It was so genuine. I would be over at their house after practice. They would invite me over endless amounts of times for fikas. Fika's a term in Swedish to have a coffee with family and friends, just to let everything else flutter away.
It's like siesta or something.
We didn't talk about hockey once.
Stuff like
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
Right. I get what you mean, yeah.
And that was the most beautiful thing about it. But no matter how far we are, that relationship will never change.
Awesome.
And
Great.
we were just in Europe together. And
Yeah.
it was just like
Buster's
we never
wedding.
left. 100%.
How was the wedding? You got to tell. How was the wedding?
It was beautiful.
Is there anything better than the hockey weddings?
No,
Like
absolutely
the hockey
not.
weddings, the NHL weddings might be the best weddings out
It's
of
not
all.
even
For me.
comparable.
I doubt there was any adult beverages being passed around.
No,
right?
none of
definitely
that.
not.
Yeah,
That doesn't,
none of
that doesn't happen at all.
But yeah, shirts were taken off pretty quick, and it was.
Tarps off immediately.
I'm going to say
immediately,
Marshy
yeah.
was probably the
It's
first.
our captain. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
one.
there we
Yeah.
go.
So-
Yeah, that dress shirt didn't stand a chance, buddy. Not a
chance.
single guy was
We were
rocking
taking
that all
bets.
the
We
way
were taking
through. Yeah,
bets, yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
And-
Tarps off immediately.
And yeah, just to celebrate Pasta and Becky were just amazing. So really happy for them, and it just to show like how much he means to the organization. Guys are coming over from all over the world
Yeah.
to see two really good people. So that was really special, and to see guys from past teams.
Yeah.
And his whole European crew, and just like you said, what's on the ice stays on the ice, and when you're in that situation, you're making friends.
And he's such a sweet guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's one of a kind.
Yeah,
What a
he's one of a
personality
kind,
on Pasta. Just
He's
a
also
genuinely nice guy.
and the other part of this, as far as guys, leaving the team and things like that, we added a couple more guys this year.
Yeah.
So we added two pretty damn good players.
Big time.
What do you? How have you? I mean, I don't know if you played against Lindholm a lot because he's been in the West Conference his whole career. Seems like a guy, obviously, that's filling a role that is like needed with the team as far as like a top line center. I mean, everybody knows kind of needed that.
Big time.
He's definitely that. And then you get a guy like Zadorov that I will say,
kid. Big body.
But dude, Sway, you don't see a lot of him.
Yeah.
There's
No.
not a lot of guys like him in the league
Agree.
anymore.
No.
They used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
When we were younger, it's really fewer and farther between, it seems.
That's what made up the big bad Bruins, guys
yeah,
like that.
man.
Right.
Yeah, remember back in the day, like, dude, it used to be
I've
like
seen
the
it.
top 4 D-men were like brick shithouse, giant, veteran, nasty
Yeah.
dudes.
Drinking beers in the locker
Yeah,
room.
exactly.
Exactly.
So,
Smoking
what do you
darts.
think? What,
Smoking cigarettes.
yeah, it's going to be tough for him to like look around him in front of the net. Like that's going to be tough. But
Wow.
no. But what do you think about getting like snagging those two guys in free agency and the Bees making a statement like, hey, as far as like addressing like the outskating guys and big guy on D, big guy up top. Like, how do you feel about that whole? Like,
I think it goes to show what kind of depth we have and how hard it is to make our lineup. And that's really special to have depth like we do and to still be able to make additions like that. That being said, we lost some major additions, major pieces. And it's the same thing, you losing a brother in that situation and that's part of the business. But at the same time, it's exciting for the new guys coming in. I know they're excited.
Yeah.
Everyone around the league wants to be a Bruin. It's so true. And that's a big reason why, we're excited about it. They're excited. And it's good to have guys that are really fired up to be a part of something bigger themselves. And so I think both those guys are going to play that role and have success.
now, do you and Monty have a different bond because you're both Maine guys?
Big time.
Big
Yeah.
time,
We're
right?
tight.
Just gonna bring that up.
That's got to be a big thing. Right? By the way, Monty, not a big deal. Might be like the all-time guy at Maine.
Oh,
Guy's a legend.
him in Korea. Yeah.
Him and Korea. I need it. Did Korea ever come back to Maine and like come to a game, like an alumni
Yeah,
thing?
I met him my freshman year, actually. Yeah.
I would flip out. I'm sorry. I don't fangirl at a lot of people. I would flip out if I met Paul
Yeah.
Korea, dude. He was the man when I was a kid.
That's so funny.
yeah, done. But he's like a quiet kind of guy, huh?
Yes, he's a surfer dude. He's got a good mindset. So
Yup.
I got to talk to him briefly. I was just a freshman puke, so I didn't know much about the whole history of it all. So it was really special to go into. It was like right after orientation, and so I had no idea. Everything was just a blur for me. And then you got Paul Korea walking in, Monty coming in. It was pretty cool.
Unbelievable.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
Snowy,
so that's
Dunny,
unreal.
yeah,
all the
that's
guys, yeah.
so sick, dude. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, Maine, man, they've got a laundry list of guys
Big time.
that have been big time. I mean, Monty's like the all-time guy in the A, right? He's up there on like the all-time point scorer list in the AHL. Like, I think he's like a top 10, top 5 guy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like a whole career down there,
Stud.
But then you get guys like Korea. You get guys. I'm trying to think of who. Obviously, you.
They had some goalies too. They had Jimmy Howard.
Yeah, Jimmy Howard, right?
Big Ben Bishop, and yeah, they had a factory going there for a while, and it's just a different cut of cloth up there, man.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to get connections. Even when I'm walking the city, they're asking about Maine and the Black Bear connection. And that for me is just what made it so special to be up there for 3 years. And
tight community too.
it is such a tight community.
Yeah. Let's be mindful of time. Do we want to do any questions out here as well?
Does anybody have a question they want to ask Jeremy? Anybody got to use a little audience question at all?
Yeah, we got my
Yeah, that guy right there.
The question is, how does the Swayman get in the zone? How does he lock it in?
Yes, that's my younger brother, if you guys can't tell.
No shit. I can
love
tell.
it.
Handsome devil.
It's a great question, man. I think, I just get so jazzed on being in the moment. And all I care about is the puck. And so everything else just fades away. And what's funny is that what brings me in the moment too is focusing on the crowd and the different atmosphere and the staff and everything that goes into this production that we play on the ice. And that's another motivator that I have. I love making eye contact with the crowd or even talking with the refs. I love it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I'm loving it. It comes back to that conversation with just having that attitude of gratitude. Yeah, man. You're giving me goosebumps right now thinking about it. It's like
I notice at the whistle,
Jeremy,
oftentimes you do make eye contact and kind of play around with the fans. You very rarely see that from players.
Yeah,
right?
You don't see that a lot. You definitely don't.
A lot of guys don't play into that. Why do you do that?
I think it's just the coolest thing ever being an entertainer. And they're all there for the team sport. And so I know how it felt when I was a kid to get any sort of recognition from a player or a pro athlete or anything.
It's a big deal.
So, the feeling that I got, and now to reciprocate that to the kids and stuff and seeing their reactions right away. They can't hide. It's the best thing about kids, that they can't hide their emotions.
It must be the funniest
and they
thing
just
ever.
flip
You just
out.
get a big kick out of it.
I do it every time. The same kid too. I see him freaking out. I go, it's the same corner, and he loves it.
Who was the first pro you met as a young kid? Did you have a guy come to the rink one day or be like, hey, well, there was a guy from Alaska that made it to the show? Anybody? I'm just saying, anybody that came by a youth hockey practice, a surprise, a banquet speaker.
Yeah, it's a great question. We didn't have any pros in Alaska, so it was we had the college team, and I was a stick boy for UAA, and so
nice.
those were my pros, and so I knew them all, first name basis. The first NHLer I really, besides Gomez and Nate and those guys, was Brent Burns.
Burnsy? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he had all his teeth back then.
No.
He was
he was
missing the chips.
So we were in a tournament in San Jose. I never told this story, Mark. This is hilarious. And so we were in a tournament in San Jose, and we were watching the San Jose Sharks practice. And Big Burnsy comes out, and I don't know anything about pro hockey at this point. I never really.
Does he just look like a Yeti at this point?
Yeah,
You're who's this
massive,
giant person?
larger-than-life human. Right. I'm like, hey, could we take a photo? And he said, hell yeah. And we took a photo, and it was the coolest thing ever. He was so normal and just kind. And I've never told him that because, obviously we're playing against each other.
That's hilarious.
If he said that, he's going to say, yeah, I'm old now. But it's funny. It's just that was, for me, it was that was what I want to do for these kids. So
next time you saw him, he was coming flying down the wing, ripping a 97-mile-an-hour bomb at you, up and in. You're like, dude, what the hell, man? Yeah, Jesus Christ. He's coming 97 high and tight on your short side.
Totally.
Sick pick, Burns. That was dope. What else was I going to say? Did you have any?
Well, I think we should try to take if anybody else have any more questions, we're going to probably go another, maybe 10 minutes, guys. So if you have questions, put your hand up. We got one in the back here. Come on up.
I did, yeah. It's Wake's a special person in my life, and I got to meet him for the first time at this event for the Barbara Bush Foundation, of course, right? So I got to meet him for the first time and really didn't know much about him, and I was with Tuca at the time, and he said, this guy invented the knuckleball. You're going to want to talk to him.
Yeah,
and so I love it. And it was one conversation that really changed my perspective on the way I think of teammates, the way I think of teams and leadership. One conversation. And to know what I know now and what he was going through and didn't tell a single soul, that guy he's on a pedestal in my life.
Warrior.
Forever.
Yep.
And so any way I can honor him, and I did the Jimmy Fund not too long ago, and I really tried to talk about how his impact completely changed my perspective on treating others and being kind to everyone you come in contact with and just being grateful for those opportunities. That's my job as a human being, as a professional athlete in Boston. And professional athletes all over the world can really take notes from that. So anytime I get to honor him, I'm definitely going to do that. That's really special, yeah. Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, rest in peace to
awesome.
Tim Wakefield and his best of his family.
Like, the testament to Wake is, like, I'm pretty sure he, like, took himself, I think it was off one round of a playoff roster, so a guy who was hurt could come back and jump back. I'm like, dude, are you kidding? Like, as a competitor, I'd be like, no way. Yeah. You can pry me off this field. Like, no way.
Yeah.
And for him to be, like, that unselfish and be like, I'll be the guy. Don't worry about it. I remember Mike Timlin was, like, on camera with him after the game, after we won the World Series. He was like, this guy's the most unselfish guy that you could possibly get in a clubhouse. And I was just like, dude, I didn't see that clip until recently.
Yeah.
After he had passed or whatever, and I was like, wow, dude. There's got to be a million things people don't even know yet that he affected, touched some way, had some spin on, or
100%.
Like, it's got to be, the stories with Wake have to be endless.
Oh, the things that he did off camera and the conversations he had, and just, again, the passion that he had for his teammates was nothing like I've ever heard before. And I know brothers, you know, we create bonds. I'm still best friends with my teammates from Colorado when I was 15 years old. And it's just incredible stuff that when he said it the way he said it, though, he said, you won't talk to your guy for 25 years. Next thing you know, you need a lift, you need a tow truck, you need anything from this guy, he'll be there. And that, for me, was a complete perspective change.
That's got to be so he has to be your outside of hockey guy.
By far.
Like, that's the guy. Whether or not any of the other three major sports, that's got to be your non-hockey guy.
Absolutely is.
Like, that's the guy you're going, like, you know what I mean? I feel like everybody, you know, you meet different athletes. You'll meet, you know, baseball guys, basketball guys, conversation about one thing or another. So the fact that, like, Wake was that for you.
One
dude,
conversation.
Yeah, I can, please, that's worth a lifetime, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Guys, any more questions for Jeremy? Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Question is, who is his biggest role model growing up?
My family
hockey or outside of
continues
hockey,
to be
right?
very involved in this podcast.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. I think Joel knows this answer pretty easy.
I know
though.
the answer,
It's
yeah.
my dad. And again, just what he created in his lifetime and the way that he treated me and his family was always first. That for me is bigger than any sport, any game, anything. And the foundation that he instilled in me and what he does every day well is practices what he preaches. And the integrity that he has in his work ethic, in his conversations, he'll talk, so he would see patients, and I would go in, I was his little buddy. So I would go into the office with him after school or off days and whatnot, probably because he didn't want to pay for child, you know, whatever. Yeah, but regardless, I was in the office every day. And he'd bring me into his office with patients, and he'd have a pin of me, of my, like, yearly photo at the hockey. And by the end of every single patient, by the end of the office visit, they'd be hugging, every single one. And that for me was, I saw that when I was like a little 8, 9, 10-year-old. And that for me is something that, you know, I'll be a role model.
And to spin off that, right, The fact that your dad's a doctor and you're in the medical capital of this country, by the way, you must be like, this is like awesome, dude. Like, I just went from the medical capital of Alaska to the medical capital of America.
Totally.
Because you have 4 of the top 10 best hospitals in the country here.
People around the world come.
Yeah. Oh, so literally, lucky, people come from all over the place to like enjoy, whether it's Dana-Farber or somewhere else, Mass Eye or any of these other places, Boston Children's.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny how like so much from back home, in a place that's really not like it at all, ends up like reflecting some way out here. And you're like, there actually maybe is a little bit more like back home here than I would have ever thought there would be. It's kind of interesting.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And I don't know what I did or what my dad did or what anyone else did, but we got some good guardian angels, and I'm so fortunate to be here.
And I think to close this out, brother, I think we all want you here for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Stick around.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
We want you here for as long as you'll be here. We want you here, dude. And that goes without saying, right? So, is there anything else you had to?
No, I just want to thank you, man. Thank you for coming by. I want to thank all of you guys. I want to thank Mark. Oh, we got one more. Here we go. Let's take it.
And it's
I got your bracelet on. This is
my
your
family.
bracelet.
Here we go.
My favorite thing. Sure.
She wants to start hockey, but doesn't know where to start and needs some ideas from Jeremy.
We need to find a position, so we got to figure out if we're a forward, goalie, or a D-man. And the biggest thing is just getting out and skating. And hockey is the best thing because the people you meet in hockey is just like Wake said. You're going to meet these teammates, these mentors, these role models, and what you learn from this team sport. You learn the good and the bad. You know what to be, you know what not to be, and the experiences alone are what should drive you to be a hockey player. And I think that being just an all-around athlete, everything you need balance, you need hand-eye coordination, you need competitiveness, you need all these things, and it's just going to only help develop you as a human being. And so I think you should just, one, learn, where you're at in Boston area, find some sort of hockey community or hockey school, and try out you don't have to try out for a team right away, just go out for a learn to skate. Truly, there's nothing to be ashamed of at all, is to go out there and just get on the ice and free skate. There's pond hockey, there's all these different opportunities that are available for you. And
you'll never look back.
A really good spot for that too.
I played pickup with a couple guys that started skating at like 38 and 42 years old, dude. And they're like not bad. I'm like, all right, 100%. Wow, like they're hanging in pretty well, dude. Like it's really not ever, it's about how much time you're willing to put into it.
100%.
That's really it. You know what I mean?
And then you start stick handling in the driveway, and then you're putting rollerblades on. And it's everywhere you go. Yeah, you're going to love it.
For sure.
Before we do wrap, is there anything you want to say? Anything that you want to leave the crowd with, leave the pod with?
Yeah, well, this is incredible. Again, when I think back to like Alaska, and I never thought in a million years I'd have people from the Boston community coming out to see a podcast with just a little Alaskan guy. So I can't thank you guys enough, sacrificing your night and coming to see us. And honestly, that was one of the most genuine and pure podcasts I've ever done. So I really appreciate you guys.
Bro, we're glad you came on.
This is a blast.
Amazing, guys. Thanks all of you.
That's a big thank you to Jeremy Swayman. A big thank you to Dave's Hot Chicken. A big thank you to Play Boston, the Big Night Live crew, and a big thank you to Marc Lewis. And a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.
This guy makes it all happen behind the scenes, by the way. Don't let him sell you short. This guy does everything behind the scenes. Phone calls, emails, and pitch all this type of stuff. Everything. Yeah, exactly. All the stuff no one else wants to do. Put it that way.
That's right.
So
I still don't want to do it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Awesome.